All right, SML. No, we don't have any drafting for dummies this year, but this year we've got laying the blueprint, and it's with myself, and I've got Prime Time 000 here, the number one
Uh,
team builder in the SML.
wow, what
What's
an
going on,
honor.
Prime?
Hey man, I'm fired up. It's playoff time, or not playoff time. It feels like playoff time, but it's cycle start time, my second favorite time of the year.
It does. Pretty excited, and I think with everybody talking about what team they should take, and everybody's kind of confused. It seems right now, at least most people. I figure let's go over the teams and kind of break down what we would do with them, and maybe what we like or don't like about each team.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start. We've got the Buffalo Bills. I don't think there's a ton to not like about this team. They're loaded from the start. You've got young players. You got what is it? Elam and Cook were two of the rookies that filled their needs at corner and running back. Do you see anything stands out with you about the Bills? Maybe that you like or don't like or anything like
Uh,
that?
Now, the only thing that I'm a little intrigued by, I guess, is Von Miller. I haven't run a whole lot of Sims in general, but that's a guy who's getting a little long in the tooth. And would you consider trading the guy? I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. So I'm looking at it right now. He's got a $44 million cap penalty. He signed a 6 year deal that's in the game. Uh, First season, it's 5.5 or 5.15 million as a cap hit. Next season, it goes up to 18.7.
Mm,
That's one of the downsides to
yeah.
this team that I'm seeing. You've got Diggs is on a 6 year deal, brand new, so it goes from 11.7 to 20.3. Allen's on a brand new 7 year deal, goes from 16.4 to 39. Von
Wow.
Miller jumps from 5 to 18. Micah Hyde doubles from 5 to 10. So you have 25 million in cap space, but it looks like that's going to get eaten up by these increases in contracts.
Yeah, this Bills team is pretty much you buy it. It's like a car that you buy and you don't make any mods to. You run with it and it runs good. You're not gonna be able to, it's not like a tuner car that you can modify a lot and have fun with. You get it out of the box and you roll with it.
Yeah, I don't think there's really much to do with this team other than kind of maintain that defense, maybe get another receiver in there, but for the most part, you've got your quarterback locked up for the cycle, receivers locked up. There's not much to do here.
Yeah,
All
I
right, so
agree.
let's move on. We can talk about the Jets, but that doesn't matter because I'm going to take. Oh, never mind.
Oh!
Um, so we'll talk about the Jets here. What do you like
Wow.
or don't like about the Jets?
So right off the top here, I think that we have to talk about the flexibility with the team. Um, I don't think they have a whole lot of major contract like you talked about Von Miller, a 6 year deal. SML trade rules with superstars as is can be a little tight, and the Jets really don't have that. I don't think off the top of my head. Um, and
No.
they also have a young quarterback with who you can develop, or you and if you don't like them for whatever reason, there's going to be somebody in the league who's gonna pay a pretty penny. Especially because it's so early in the cycle. Zach Wilson has a 94 arm strength, and we know. I think he's star dev.
Yep.
I think we know that this guy is. He's going to be a major trade piece option for the Jets.
Yeah, I like that they're young. I think what's going to hurt them is the way the abilities seem to be kind of dished out this year, where that first one's gonna hurt. But
Mhm.
like you were talking about, there's only one guy that has over a $20 million cap penalty, and that's going to be Sauce Gardner, who's not going to get traded anyway. For the
Yeah,
most part, you're right. They don't have a ton of big contracts. Biggest one is actually C.J. Mosley. He's on 3 years remaining, and his is
yeah.
pretty high. It's about 18 million. Corey Davis for two
Mhm.
years. Lawson for 2 years,
Mhm.
but nobody huge. For the
Yeah.
most part, pretty small contracts. And I do like what you were talking about. There's a lot of flexibility there. What would you do if you took the Jets?
The first thing I would do is, even though I probably wouldn't trade him, I would put Wilson on the trade block and just see what I can get out of the guy. There's a lot of quarterback hungry teams like the Colts, for example, who would probably open up their checkbook and then some. That's probably the first move I would do, and then after that, I would probably accept that probably not going to win a Super Bowl this first season. So identify the guys who I want to develop quickly and give them the freaking football.
All right, I'll write that down for when. Never mind. Okay, so
Exactly.
let's move on to the Dolphins. Uh, Dolphins. This team is kind of interesting to me because I feel like they're pretty well set for the most part. I mean, their defense could probably use a little bit of work, but they have 2 picks coming in. They're going to have 27.4 million in cap space. And it really, to me, it's almost like the Jets, where it comes down to what do you think about the quarterback. With this team, I think I would load up on defense with those 2 draft picks, or maybe even trade them for something for a bigger piece. But what do you think about the Dolphins?
Yeah, for me, the Dolphins are interesting because with Tua, he doesn't have a big arm, and I've played against a few owners who have used the Dolphins. And when you think about Tyreek Hill and Waddle, I don't think you're going to get the most out of that offense with Tua at the helm. He does not fit that style for Madden. So I'm trading Tua right off the bat, and I'm going to try to find some big cannon arm mobile quarterback so you can try to do something with those receivers. That's probably the first thing I'm going to do. Other than that, I like the Dolphins. I like Tyreek. I like Waddle. Even though I think, and I've heard some people say this, I think speed is a little overrated this year.
Yeah, it seems to not matter as much. Now, I don't know about Tyreek Hill with his 99 speed. Maybe that's a little different kind of speed.
Yeah.
But the thing with the cap, Tyreek Hill, big signing they had, he was going to go from $6.5 million to $31.2 million in 2023. He's on a 5-year deal. Armstead, the left tackle, same thing, going to go from 3.99 to 20.4. Byron Jones is going to go from just under 6 to just under 19. And so those are guys that their deals are going to jump quite a bit, and you're going to end up paying quite a bit for them. And that cap space is going to dry up really quick.
It will. It will. I think you have to trade Tua, honestly.
Yeah, I think that would probably be the best move, unless for whatever reason you like Tua. Maybe if you're Dom, who likes the little noodle arm quarterbacks, that's kind of his type of guy, other than being left-handed, I think. So next up, we got the Patriots. Only 17 million in cap space. Not a ton there. Not really a ton to even like on this team. Even if you're a Patriots fan, I think most of them are going to pass on them. Is there anything that stands out about them that you kind of like?
No, I don't like the Patriots. They're just boring. They're kind of like the Titans, but without Derrick Henry and Malik Willis. There's nothing I'm excited about. And Mac Jones, I guess, what is he, a star? Maybe you'll luck out and get some good abilities with them, and that's a reason for hope. But I don't like this Patriots team.
Yeah, I feel like they're paying a lot of like middle of the road guys a lot of money. They only have 17 million in cap space, so it's not like, you have a ton of flexibility there. It's not that a ton of guys are going to jump up next year to bigger deals, but you're just paying like a guy like Nelson Aguilar almost 15 million. Jonnu Smith, he's making 15 million. It's a bunch of like middle of the road guys that you would consider just another guy in Madden. Devin Godchaw, he's making 10 million. That's a 74 overall, 27-year-old defensive tackle, and you got him for 3 years at that. It's
one thing I try to pride myself in doing is not re-signing guys like who are 82 overall to long-term deals. Like if I know, like, all right, this guy is a 7-year vet, he's a normal dev, he's a left outside linebacker with 79 speed. I'm not going to re-sign that guy. The Patriots roster is loaded with guys like that.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, and maybe that's something that gets a lot of guys in trouble. They want to re-sign everybody. Like, I got this 75 overall outside linebacker. He's been my starter for a whole season. You don't need to re-sign him. There's a 75 overall in the draft. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
I think that gets guys in trouble with their cap space.
I agree. If you're the Patriots, don't re-sign anybody.
Yep. And probably cut whatever you can, because it looks like you're going to be holding on to some guys for a while.
Yeah.
Next up is the Browns. Browns, obviously, pretty loaded roster. Defense probably needs to be developed a bit, but they've got really good young talent everywhere. Right now, it shows 69.4 million in cap space for them.
Wow.
I don't know how it's that high, but I do know that you're going to go from Watson 10 million to 55, Garrett 13 to 30,
wow.
Cooper 4 to 23, Teller 4 to 15, Chubb 5 to 15, Bitonio 6 to 15, John Johnson 7 to almost 14, and it just keeps going. Denzel Ward 5 to 12. I mean, these guys all jump up. Their deals get really big, really fast, and that cap space is going to go away quick. If I were to take the Browns, I think it's pretty much just the linebackers need Needs some improvement. That was where I kind of hated that team last year. Um, they got a quarterback in Watson now, but just trying to manage that cap space is going to be it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. But the good thing about the Browns is, you know that you're paying a lot of money for players, but the players are really good players, and this is probably a top three team, and to start a cycle off with. Not a whole lot of maintenance you need to do other than don't make any dumb re-signings and just kind of try to maintain this roster, and they're going to give you a shot to win a Super Bowl right off the bat.
Yeah, because of those guys I named that have the big jump in their cap, you have Watson, 84 overall, 26 years old. So, I mean, we know he's going to be good. Teller's a 27-year-old right guard, but he's 89 overall. And then John Johnson, 82 at 26 years old. Other than that, they're all 90 or above. So it's not like you're paying
Yeah.
Jonnu Smith.
Right. No, that team's good. I like them.
All right. So next up is the Bengals. Uh, Bengals are an interesting team to me. Absolutely loaded on offense, but the defense a little bit older. They're kind of a bunch of those kind of middle of the road guys. You got guys like Hendrickson, 85 overall, but he's normal dev. You've got Reeder, he's 84 overall, but he's 28. What do you think about the Bengals? I kind of like their offense. Their defense is a little lackluster, and their youth is where they already have kind of a strength in the safety position.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not super high on the Bengals. I know they're kind of a lot of guys are talking about them. You have Joe Burrow, obviously Chase and Joe Mixon, the big three, and that's going to help you win a lot of games. But I think that those are all positions that are fairly easy to develop if you're a good player. You can develop a running back super easy. A receiver, you can develop them. Maybe they won't be as good as Jamar Chase, but you could probably find a receiver that's you took in the third round and get him pretty close. And Burrow, now he's going to be a great quarterback, probably a top five Madden quarterback this cycle. And you probably won't get that, but maybe you can get a top 10 quarterback fairly easily if you want to pay the price. Now, the thing that's hard to develop is defense. And the Bengals don't have a lot of defensive pieces that are easy to develop. You think about some young teams like the Jaguars, for example, who, especially the last few cycles, they've had some really just young defensive pieces that are easy to develop, and you just get a bunch of picks, and boom, all of a sudden you got a top five defense. I don't think the Bengals have that, and that's what I have an issue with.
Yeah, I think, for example, the first year you got to re-sign Jesse Bates, who's your best player on defense. Your best young player on defense plays the exact same position, sitting right behind him. Bates is 25. He's not really going anywhere. He's your superstar. And then you've got Daxton Hill right behind him at 21, 75 overall. So it's almost like you've got too much of your youth at one position. Bates can't even be traded yet, and neither can Hill because he's a rookie. So it kind of hamstrings you in that sense.
Yeah. I like McPherson though. He's a bright spot on that team. I would trade for him.
Oh, yeah, he's the can't be iced kicker, so that's always a good thing to have on your team. Next up is the Ravens. Ravens added a lot of good pieces in this offseason. They added Marcus Williams to the free safety spot. They added Kyle Hamilton, the rookie out of Notre Dame, David Ajabo, an outside linebacker, Michael Pierce on the defensive line. I'm just not really in love with this Ravens team. Maybe it's because they let Marquise Brown go. You're looking at Bateman, Wallace, Duvernay. Nobody really great on the in the receiving core, and with escape artists kind of nerfed this year. I just don't think they're as good.
Yeah, I don't either, actually. I think Michael Pierce, he's one of their better defensive linemen, if not their best defensive lineman. He's 29 years old.
Yep.
Calais Campbell, he's nearing the retirement home. He's their second best defensive lineman. I don't like that. And like you said, escape artist is gone. I know Jackson's fast, but in the games I've played, mobile quarterbacks have not been as effective this year, and I don't think that's going to change too much. I'm kind of out on the Ravens. Honestly, they might be the third best team in the division when I'm thinking about who I'd pick. I'd probably take Browns at 1, maybe the Bengals at 2, Ravens at 3, and Steelers at 4.
Yeah, I could see that, especially like we said with escape artists not really being the same thing. I think if you're building this team, you have to find a way to get receivers and defensive line though. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't know what you trade to get rid of it because everything you got that you'd want to move is old. So
Yeah.
that'd be a tough team. I'd probably just trade a pick. You figure if you're the Ravens, maybe you've got a good shot at being a high pick. So
Yeah. I agree.
all right. So then the last team in the AFC North is going to be the Steelers. This team to me looks really good, except the one position that's probably the most important, and that's the quarterback.
Hmm.
It's the thing that scared Dan off. Besides the AFC is Kenny Pickett, 24-year-old, 68 overall, 4-year deal, and just an absolute noodle arm. Um, that's
Yeah.
that's tough to me that they have that, but they have so many good receivers. I think you could trade receivers and picks maybe, and find your quarterback. Maybe that Zach Wilson or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you have Najee Harris, who within 2 seasons the guy is going to be 99 overall. Um, he's not an X factor yet, so he could maybe get freight train. The quarterback position, like you said, it sucks, but you have some receiver assets and some picks you could trade, and maybe Cameron Hayward won't retire, and after season one you can put him in a trade piece as a trade piece and get your quarterback. I like the Steelers team a lot. TJ Watt is a machine. I think the Steelers team is going to be a headache for a lot of players. And their linebacking core, they have Miles Jack and I think Devin Bush.
Yep.
That gives people a freaking headache, to tell you what.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. I might even try to trade one of them. Miles Jack is a superstar, but he's only 82 overall at 26, so you could still trade him. Only a $7.5 million cap penalty, so nothing keeping you from trading him, and then you just start Devin Bush, or you just bank on somebody wanting Devin Bush and his speed, and you trade him, and you can probably get a decent amount for him. I think Coop traded Mecole Hardman for him, which whether or not that worked out, I don't know, but
Yeah, they have tradable pieces to
yep.
get that quarterback.
All right, so next up, we're going to move to the AFC South and a team you're fairly familiar with, the Colts.
Hmm.
What
Uh-oh.
what are your thoughts on this team?
Yeah, the Colts are an interesting team. If I took the Colts this cycle, the elephant in the room is two position groups. Obviously, it's the quarterback room and the receiver room, in my opinion. You have Michael Pittman, you have Paris Campbell and Alec Pierce. You could probably develop Pierce, maybe trade Campbell to Fig, and trade off Pittman to Mike. That's probably what I would consider doing right off the bat. Um, but in reality, you probably have to ride out Matt Ryan the first season. And what I would do with the Colts is not trade up for a quarterback. This team has a decent roster in place defensively, and they got a freight train at running back. I would not trade a bunch of assets. I would build on this strong. I think the roster has a nice foundation, and I think you have a chance to really build something special with the roster and find a way to make the quarterback situation work. I think that's the approach I would go with it.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a similar to the Browns last year. You've got that stud running back that can basically carry you the whole way. You don't have the quarterback. I would say Mayfield is probably better than Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
But you've got a lot of pieces, and if you can just develop them, you got guys like Julian Blackmon at one safety spot. Reminds me of like a Grant Delpit. He's low overall, but he's young and can develop. He's got like some of the attributes you're looking for with his speed. And then you've got Nick Cross, 20 years old. He's only 69 overall, but he's fast and he's young. That 20 age is a huge thing. That's what Schwartz had last year. And I mean, you're already 2 seasons in. He's still only 22 and just developing super fast.
Wild.
So I think they're a good team, and I think you hit the nail on the head. You just kind of ride them out and wait till they become really good.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing, sometimes not having that elite quarterback, I mean, if your offense isn't predicated on throwing a bunch of long, deep crossers, I think you can get away with something a little bit less and not have that $50 million cap hit that you're going to see with like a Mahomes type.
Yeah, especially this year when I don't want to say offensive line matters because it seems like it never does. But if pass rushes can be slowed down with a good offensive line, then it'd be nice to have that extra cap space to spend on your linemen.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
All right, so we'll move on to the Titans in the AFC South. Titans are a
Sheesh.
team I've looked at them a couple times and I want to like them, but I just can't for some reason.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the quarterback position. I've tried using Malik Willis. He just doesn't feel very good, and that's going to be a problem when he's already 23 and sub 70. But I do like the pieces they have on defense. I just think they're a little older, and you've got to kind of fill in some of the gaps, and the receivers are so slow.
Yeah. That team is a little boring, but
Yeah.
you still have Derrick Henry. Byard is decent. And Willis is interesting. I think you start Willis season one and you see if you can ride with them. And maybe if you get in a playoff game or something, if you're a good player, then you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to roll with Tannehill here or something. Or you split reps at that point. And then you see what you can get out of Willis in the offseason. But if you're doing bad with Willis, I'll give a bit of advice. You do not say that he sucks because you're going to lower the trade value. You just say he doesn't fit your style, but he's got the raw traits. That's how I would handle that.
Yeah, I think saying he sucks is probably a terrible way to market him if you know you want to get rid of him. Because it's only one season, and then he can be traded, and somebody will jump on that 92 speed quarterback
Yeah.
with 94 throw power, which probably both of those will go up after a season of
Yeah.
developing. But yeah, don't say he sucks. What does suck though is that Bud Dupree contract where he's making 20 million for the next 4 years, as a 29-year
Jeez.
old, 74 overall. Unfortunately, you have that fountain of youth uh, coaching
Mhm.
tree thing you can unlock where they don't regress. I wish they'd have one where it'd be like early retirement and you could pick somebody because that contract is going to hurt.
Yeah, that is a rough contract. Yeah, the team's okay, but I mean, it doesn't seem like a nice 8 season long August to August team I'd want to pick.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, you're going to have a brand new team by the end probably.
Yeah,
All right, so next up is the Texans. Not really a ton great to say about this team. I do like the secondary, actually. They've got decent players in the secondary, especially the rookie Stingley Jr. Um, you've got cap space and you've got a lot of picks. I guess if there's one positive about this team, it's completely a blank slate. Laramie Tunsil and Brandon Cooks, the only two guys making over $10 million this year. So lots of places to improve, and you can kind of do what you want with this team. Not a ton of guys after that third year or after the second year. It looks like you lose most of your roster. So, a blank slate. I guess that's the best you can say about this team.
yeah, I agree. Davis Mills may be a little interesting. I think he's a star dev.
Hmm.
Not a huge arm, but the thing about teams like Houston is you can literally go best player available in the draft and the guy is going to start and you don't have to overthink things like, oh, this guy's a running back and I'm picked 10, cool. This guy's a receiver, this guy is a linebacker, doesn't matter. You take him and he's going to start and he's going to be a big difference maker for you.
So with this team, with all the picks that they have, what would you do with the picks? Because I'm kind of leaning towards where I would trade them. I feel like two guys, you have two first round picks. Two guys aren't going to make a difference, but maybe if you can pick up stuff, especially early in the cycle when everybody kind of overvalues picks.
Yeah.
I almost lean towards trading them to get multiple assets.
Yeah, you mean multiple picks probably, roughly, just a bunch of
Picks or young
yeah,
guys. If I can get a bunch
yeah,
of young starters, maybe like 22-year-old guys, maybe second year, just became
yeah.
tradable.
Yeah, I think you could do that. Maybe trade one of the picks, get a real player and a later pick, and then maybe you do just try to amount your draft picks then with the next pick and trade for a bunch of seconds and later
Yeah.
firsts or something, and you know build out the roster that way. I know the draft classes I've heard are decent this year, so that's something worth trying.
Yeah, they seem to be good. And I just feel like if you burn those two first round picks, you still have an awful team.
Yeah, it's bad.
All right, so next up is the Jaguars in the AFC South. That'll be our last team in the AFC South. This team, I think they look a lot better than their ratings are. You got Trevor Lawrence as a superstar. ETN is really good. James Robinson actually breaks a lot of tackles. Um,
Hmm.
and then that defense is just absolutely loaded with young talent. The secondary is fast. They just have pretty much everything you want, and you just have to develop them.
Yeah, they've been that way for a few cycles now. Yeah, it's going to be hard to screw that team up. Matt built him. He didn't make any moves last cycle, and he built him up. The cycle before that, you were a little more aggressive with making moves, and you built him up really good. I mean, the Jaguars have a lot of flexibility, and they have a young quarterback that is a superstar. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Yeah, and that means he's going to develop a lot faster than a regular quarterback that's not a superstar. They have cap space. They just kind of have a little bit of everything, and they're actually another place that they're kind of loaded at is that middle linebacker position. They've got two 23-year-old rookies in Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma, and then you've got I'm not even going to try and say his name, Foy Sadie Alowakun or whatever his name is, but you can move any one of the two rookies the second season, and then pick up whatever you want. I'd imagine if I'm Faz and I take the Jaguars, I'm going to want something more in the receiver room than Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and Chenault. But you've got a little bit of capital to do something with it, and if you're not planning on being a high pick, you can move that pick as well.
Yeah, no, they got a lot of options. You can even trade Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, you could still trade Trevor Lawrence, and that would get you, I would have to imagine, a fortune coming back.
So a lot of options, a lot.
Absolutely. All right, so let's move to the AFC West, and we've got the Chargers. Chargers got to be the most stacked team in the game, right?
Loaded. I don't know, man. Herbert is a freak. And everybody talks about Burrow's pass ability. What is his set feet lead?
Yeah.
Herbert's got pass lead elite, which I think means he can be moving or out of the pocket or something. And
yeah,
his passes,
bullet precision passes.
Yeah. I mean, this team's loaded. Derwin James, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Keenan Allen, J.C. Jackson, Eckler, Herbert, Mike Williams. I mean, this team's stacked.
Yeah, they're absolutely got to be the. I can't think of any team that's more stacked. I like the Bills maybe a little better because I think they're a little younger, but I don't think they're more stacked. Just like the Bills have Tre'Davious White with Acrobat, you got J.C. Jackson with Acrobat. They just have everything. Their entire offense is superstar. You need a tight end, I guess, if you're picking something you need. But you do have Donald Parham Jr., who's a 6'8" tight end, who it seems like height really matters this year.
Yes.
If you're this team, I don't even know what you would do. I would guess I would use my picks on some defensive line because you do have Mack and Bosa are a little bit older. Maybe a receiver to get a speed guy in there. You don't really have any speed, but two superstar receivers, you probably don't need speed. It's kind of just whatever makes you enjoy the game because the team's pretty much going to take care of winning on its own.
Yeah, they're good. The only knock is that division is good.
Yeah, the division, this is just the first team of the division. So let's move on to the next one, the Chiefs. And it's kind of the same thing. I don't feel like they're nearly as loaded or even as loaded as they were last year. Losing Tyreek Hill, I think, was big. But they did pick up two rookies that I think are going to be really big. And it's Karlaftis, the left end. And then at corner, they got Trent McDuffie. And he's a 21-year-old, 77 overall corner. And I think he's going to be really good as well. This team, I would probably get another receiver and maybe some defensive line help. Chris Jones is a little older. Frank Clark's old. But another really good team and making that AFC West really tough.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Mahomes and Kelsey. I don't know. For some reason, I'm not. I think they obviously have gotten worse. They lost Honey Badger. They've lost, like you said, Hill since last cycle. Chris Jones getting a bit older. Kelsey getting a bit older. So not as intimidating as they have been in the past, but Patrick Mahomes is still a cheat code.
Yeah. And he's still got the, what is it, no look dead eye or something. So he can run around, chuck it across his body. And even though for most guys that's probably trouble this year, he's still got the ability where it should be good.
Yeah, that's a team where I guess if I were to give advice, I wouldn't re-sign a bunch of those mid-tier players. I would let them walk. And then maybe right when Kelsey becomes tradable, you trade him and you try to build up that defense and maybe add a receiver on the way, like you said.
Yeah. All right, so next up in that division, we've got the Broncos. Recently acquired Russell Wilson, so that gives them their superstar quarterback. This team, I kind of like them. I like the young defense. I feel like they have some good receivers.
Hmm.
You lost Noah Fant, but you've got that Albert O, who's a really good Madden tight end. You got Sutton, Judy, Hamler, all on the offensive side of the ball. And then defense, I feel like they're just good and young. You got what is it, Draymond Jones, the guy that
Yeah.
Finn's turned into a superstar X Factor, I think twice. I think he ended up trading
Hmm.
for him and did it again in Chicago. You've got Baron Browning, who's a really good linebacker, especially a good user linebacker.
Hmm.
Bradley Chubb, and then Surtain's a superstar at only 22 years old. He's an 83 overall corner. And then you also have another one that's kind of interesting to pay attention to. Justin Simmons is a free safety, 91 overall, 28 years old, so he can be traded maybe after the first season because it looks like he's got a $25 million cap penalty. But being 90 overall and only star means all he has to do is get one dev bump, and now he's eligible for acrobat and in those 90 overall abilities.
Yeah, he could actually be a really good trade piece. This Broncos defense is solid, like you said. They have great young receivers. A little weak at running back, but that's an easy position to develop.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Russell Wilson, who's going to be solid. I like this team. What I would do is probably trade maybe. I would keep the defense intact actually, and I'd find a way to get a really good running back in the draft, and I would, as Russell Wilson would say, just Broncos country. Let's ride and see if I can ride my way to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think they definitely have the pieces there. It's like you said, that's going to be a tough AFC West. I mean, all the teams are good, and
Yeah.
we haven't even gotten to the next team, the Raiders, who added
Hmm.
Devontae Adams. They added Chandler Jones. They added was it Jayon Brown, the middle
Hmm.
linebacker, and then the Colts corner, Rock Ya-Sin. Um, this team looks like they're going to be a lot of fun. I know RD wants them way down there where he's picking. I don't think they make it that far.
Yeah.
They've also got 42 million in cap space.
Yeah, they got the cap space. The only thing I'm wondering about is if what you do with Carr. I mean, he just signed a contract, did he not?
He did. So he
Um,
signed a 4-year deal where he's going to go from 19.4 this year, and then it's going to go up to 35, 44, and 43 over the length
mhm.
of the deal. So he's your guy. You're you're kind of stuck with him.
Yeah. So I guess if you take the Raiders, you have to accept that. Hey, you know what? My quarterback's maybe he'll get some dev bumps or something. Um, yeah, but they're a middle of the road team. I don't know. Middle. I would probably take them around 18 to 20. I can't tell you. Maybe Darren Waller is he a superstar? Is Darren Waller a superstar?
Darren Waller is a superstar,
Okay.
and he's actually an X factor,
Okay.
but he doesn't have the double me ability, which everybody seems to like. He's got Yak 'em up for his X factor, tight end apprentice, and short in elite for his
Hmm.
two abilities. So he's not.
Interesting.
I don't think they're that great of them, but um, they're another team that just looks unstoppable on offense.
Yeah.
If you like Carr, then you've got Adams, Waller, Josh Jacobs, Hunter Renfro.
Yeah.
Your
You got
offense
some
is set.
pieces.
They are a little
So.
bit older, but we only
Mhm.
play 8 seasons at the most, so you should get a decent amount of time out of him. Adams at
Yeah.
29 though should go downhill quick, so
Yeah.
the end of that 5-year deal may hurt.
People always say like, "Oh, you're only going to get 3 to 4 seasons out of this guy." Like, well, wait a minute here. That's that's half the freaking cycle. Like
Exactly.
4 seasons. That's a long time. That means I'm going to play until freaking February before I have to worry about the guy.
Yeah, and he's starting at 99. He's got to really drop off. I'd be more worried about him retiring before he becomes unusable.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, speed may be an issue, but his route running should keep him relevant for a while.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, so moving on to the NFC. Now we've got the Cowboys, and it looks like it's possible that this may be the first year I can think of that Grams doesn't have the Cowboys. Although a lot of people are thinking that maybe they'll fall to him now. They didn't really have any big key additions, but
No.
their team is pretty set with the abilities they got and the young pieces like Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs. A little bit of cap space. I don't. I kind of like him, but if you're not a fan of Dak Prescott, you're in trouble because after this season, he goes up to $50 million for the next two
Mhm.
after that. and so he's your guy.
Yeah, Dak's your guy, and it's not all that bad. He's a solid player. You have Zeke still, he's kind of getting a little bit older, but that offense. I mean, you have Zeke, Dak, two great linemen, CD Lamb. You got weapons. This I can't remember the last time the Cowboys have been a mediocre team in Madden. They're just a good team and a team that I would, um, you know, you could probably trade Trayvon Diggs, could you not?
Yeah, I believe you can. Trayvon Diggs is an 84 overall, so you can trade him just before he gets his 85. And from everything I've done so far, it looks like even though he's only going to be 85 when he gets that next point, he's still going to unlock Acrobat,
Well, there you go.
which would be huge.
So if yeah, maybe that's a selling point. I would consider trade. I would test the market with Diggs a little bit.
Yeah, and then I mean you got Parsons. He's 23. He's 88 overall. He's got edge threat, and he's also probably one of the best users in the game. You
Yeah,
just stuff on this team that you're not going to find on other teams, and it may be your only chance to get him. So,
yeah. No, they're solid.
all right, next up is the Commanders. Commanders,
Oh
I like
boy.
this team, but I have played with this team a few times because I really want to like the defensive line, and I've got no complaints with the defensive line. They're every bit as good as you'd think they would be, but my God, that quarterback situation is terrible. I thought Sam Howell would be good enough to use, and every time I've used him, he's been a disappointment. I end up putting Carson Wentz back in. I
Hmm.
think the big thing with this team is you got to get a quarterback, and I don't know that Sam Howell is the one you want to use. Even though he's 21, he still seems
Yeah,
bad.
yeah. They're a team again. I mean, Jonathan Allen, Payne, Chase Young. That defensive line is ridiculous. Um, the quarterback situation doesn't scare me that much, just because you know that if you can't get one to start the cycle, that come off season, you'll be able to find just a mid tier guy who will get you at least through the second season, or a quarterback you can draft. Um, I don't think you need to force the quarterback issue with this team. I think this team has the potential to be a legitimate super team with that defensive line and how this game plays right now.
Yeah.
Um, I would consider, honestly, you know, hey, let's draft, build up this roster even more, and sign an aging guy. Let's trade for Matt Stafford. Or maybe you can't trade for Stafford. Let's trade for a guy like Kirk Cousins or like Matt Ryan and ride that out and wait for the quarterback situation to open up. Because if you just build around that quarterback, that team is going to be deadly.
Oh yeah, the receivers alone, and this is what makes me hate that they don't have a quarterback. You've got
Hmm.
Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, the rookie, and then even Diami Brown, the rookie from last year. You got four really good receivers. Just wish you had somebody to throw to them.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I
No, I
mean
agree.
the team is in place.
Yeah, if you can be patient with that team, it has loads of potential.
Yeah. Speaking of loads of potential and loads of draft capital, next up is the Eagles. This team is another one I looked at. Unbelievable roster already. I mean, you've got the rookie Jordan Davis, who's superstar. Looks like he's gonna have inside stuff. He's like 340 pounds, 80 speed. I mean, he's
Hmm.
an absolute monster, and I think he's going to be a problem for the NFC East all season. They have a good kind of combination of aging guys and young guys, and then on top of all that, they have two first-round picks, theirs and the Saints. 21 million
Wow.
in cap space because you're not paying a quarterback. Again, you just have that problem at quarterback with Jalen
Mhm.
Hurts, whether you like him or not, kind of determines how you feel about this team, I think.
Yeah, I would actually. This is probably a team that you mentioned it. You got some draft picks. You have some young pieces, or you have Fletcher Cox, who maybe you pat. You send Fletcher, you send some of them draft picks, and you go and get your quarterback. You know, this team has a lot of guys that are ready to kind of win and develop. Devonta Smith, he's maybe not the fastest guy in the room, but he's a talented young receiver. You have Darius Slay, um, Lane Johnson. So you have some guys on that roster who are good players. I think they're missing a quarterback, and I think you should be aggressive with this team.
Yeah, I think so too because I mean you've got Darius Slay, older guys on this team, Fletcher Cox, that are going to make an impact early, but you're going to have to replace them later. I think if you can get that quarterback early, you can make a lot of noise with this team. And they have one of the fastest linebacking cores that
Yeah.
I think anybody has.
Yeah. No, I think you go all in with some draft picks.
So those
Trade.
three teams all really good in the NFC East. And then we have the fourth team, the Giants. Not really that impressive. I know they have the superstar offensive lineman, which who cares? I mean, I guess it's nice to have, but a superstar right tackle, not a huge deal. You've got Kayvon Thibodeau, who could be fun. I haven't even really used the Giants, so I don't know too much
Yeah.
about them, but they're fairly young. They've got a lot of like 24 and under guys on defense. Daniel Jones, maybe he's the answer. I don't know. Paulie stuck with him the whole cycle. He complained about him most of the time, but he got a lot of speed over there on offense. It just you kind of got screwed with the abilities. No Saquon Barkley superstar, but you've got your picks. I think this team I would just build up the defense, maybe find a quarterback, but it feels like a team where you're going to be kind of in the middle of the pack, and maybe you're not going to be picking high enough to get a quarterback.
I got to be honest. This team, I would not. This would be one of the last teams I would take. I've heard some guys be cute and say that they've got some pieces, but I just the quarterback situations.
Yeah.
Barkley, you could get him to superstar pretty easily. Other than that, their offensive lines kind of blows. Other than the rookie or the young guy, their defensive line doesn't generate a lot of pressure when I face against them. They just don't. They don't do a whole lot for me.
Yeah, they remind me of the Saints, but not as good. Like there's just nothing
Yeah.
flashy about them that I like. You look at their receivers, and it's Sterling Shepard, Kenny Galladay, Kadarius Toney. Okay, maybe you get a little excited about him. Slayton, Wandale Robinson. Nobody that really just kind of
Yeah.
screams fun. Kayvon Thibodeau is probably the only piece on defense that I like. That looks like he'd be interesting to use.
Maybe you consider trading. Hey, let's trade Adoree Jackson, Saquon Barkley, and your quarterback. Completely nuke the roster and see if you can see what you can do. Because I don't know, this team just doesn't do a whole lot for me.
Yeah, and you got to imagine. I mean, that's the good thing about Barkley dropping to star. He's still very good, and you would think
Yeah.
you can get him to superstar. He's already above 85, so he'll get better abilities hopefully.
hmm
But yeah, that's a tough roster to go into the season with, and I think you do have to make some type of aggressive moves like that to
Yeah.
kind of get a bunch of pieces and put
Especially
something
with that
together.
division. I mean, you're gonna have to. If you're a guy who's like, I'm a conservative team builder who doesn't like trading, don't take the freaking Giants.
Yeah, you're in trouble. All right, so a team that also doesn't start great, but they have a lot better future, I think, is the Lions. And this
hmm
team, this is another team that I've got on my radar that, other than the quarterback, which Jared Goff, I don't think is the answer on any planet. Um,
Yeah.
but you've got DeAndre Swift, you've got Chark, you've got Jamison Williams with his 98 speed, you've got TJ Hawkinson. Their offensive line is pretty good. I mean, you don't need to add any pieces to that. Nobody's below 70. Um, the defense, though, is such a work in progress. You do have Aiden Hutchinson, who's going to be good, but
Yes.
he's not right now. And then you've got a couple corners, but they're all like 25, 26. Jeff Okudah's there. He's at 23, but he's only starting at 73 overall star. So nothing great there. Um, they're going to take a little work, but they have 2 first-round picks. And the offense, I think, is set other than quarterback.
Yeah. And Jared Goff is just good enough to where I think you can ride with him. He's got 93 short accuracy, 82 medium, and 79 deep, I believe.
Yep.
Not anything that's going to blow your socks off, but I don't think it's, it's certainly not like Sam Howell. The guy, he's okay. The receivers, like you said, they got some receivers. They got a young running back. I like this team, and again, there's some flexibility with them, and I enjoy if your team's not super good or great. If you have flexibility, I think that adds value.
Yeah, I think you can kind of go whatever way you want. If it's like you, or you said you're okay with Goff, that's 2 first-round picks you can spend on defense, and now that defense looks just fine.
Yeah.
After one draft, you can have a really good defense and a really good offense. You just have to be
Yeah.
okay with Goff.
Yeah. The cool thing is you can ride the season out, see where you land, and you've got your players. And be like, okay, I got 2 first-round picks. Is Goff the answer? If not, do I need to trade up and try to get a top 10 pick, or do I just trade for a middle of the road quarterback and whoever and see what I can do? I like that team.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun for somebody. A team that might not be so much fun, the Bears.
Yeesh.
They actually added some good pieces in the draft. Velus Jones Jr., he's got like 94 speed at receiver. But I think they need more than speed, and bringing in a guy like Velus Jones who's only 69 overall, 25-year-old rookie too, so he's not going to get much better. But he's fast. You've got Jaquan Brisker. He's an 89 speed strong safety, but he's 23. So he's not super young, but he'll be a decent addition to the secondary. And then Kyler Gordon, 22-year-old corner, again 88 speed. They just don't have a lot of speed on this defense, and I know that's what everybody really likes. The defensive line is rough. You do have Roquan Smith. Looks like you'll have him for the start of the season. But outside of that, Jalen Johnson, he's 82. He's a 23-year-old, only 89 speed. Tavon Young, 88 speed, and he's 28. Just not a lot of great pieces to get excited about, even on offense. I mean, you've got Justin Fields, which is probably your most exciting player. But
would you trade him?
I think I would. I would probably trade him, maybe to like the Jets owner who might give up Zach Wilson and then some. Which Zach Wilson may be the better quarterback. They're probably right about even, actually, looking at him.
Mm-hmm.
But you could probably convince the Jets owner to give up Zach Wilson plus a little bit, or you go completely another direction, and there's got to be somebody else that'll want him that'll just give up a bunch, and maybe you have to use Trevor Siemian or Nathan Peterman. No, you don't use Nathan Peterman. Holy God, 49 overall. I thought he was a long snapper. No, that's their quarterback. So, yeah, you might want to find a quarterback if you're going to do that, but I would probably trade Justin Fields unless he's the reason you take the team. If he's the reason you took the team, I guess you keep him. I might trade Roquan Smith, because they don't have any superstars. So basically everyone on the team, Roquan Smith's highest overall at 89. And I think he needs a new deal too, because he's a zero cap penalty. I might trade him. Fields.
I would trade him.
I just blow up the whole thing, get me 3 or 4 first round picks and start from scratch, because it's kind of a barren roster outside of those two.
Yeah. Linebacker is a position that as you probably know in Madden, I couldn't care less about. And I would trade Smith, and I would field offers on Fields.
Yeah. I mean, so what would you try and get for Fields? Would you try and get a bunch of picks or a bunch of players?
Probably just a bunch of picks. Yeah. I like the idea of getting picks and having the cap space, because if you get a bunch of picks, then you can maybe, fill out the roster some, get hopefully some superstars, and then you have the cap space come, because the Bears already have the most cap space, I think, in the NFL next offseason, I think. So if you trade Raekwon and you trade Fields, you're going to have that even more so. You're going to have some young talent you're drafted, and then you're going to be able to, maybe somebody hits free agency that's great, and you sign some big name guys, and you kind of get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, especially with everybody only being able to go after 5 guys to start. You may actually be able to land some of the guys you wouldn't have otherwise been able to.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
All right, so talking about fun, the next up is the Packers, and I think this is going to be a really fun team to use, because I think their defense is basically in place with young guys. And then you get somewhere between 1 to 3 seasons of Aaron Rodgers, who's got some of the best abilities in the game, still one of the best quarterbacks in the game. And then as soon as those 3 seasons are over, you can either already have a quarterback in place that you're going to bring along behind him, or you can, I guess, start looking for one then. But I would start early. But they have some really good receivers that are young. They got Romeo Doubs, 22-year-old. He's decent. Christian Watson, who was I think he was their second round pick, 23-year-old, but he's 94 speed, I think, maybe 93. Yeah, 93 speed, but he's also 6'4". So you've
Yeah.
got that big receiver. Robert Tunyon, he's your tight end, and you know obviously quite a bit about him. But you've got
Yeah. Certainly.
corners, your secondary set, linebacker. I mean, they're absolutely loaded on defense, and then you get to play around with Aaron Rodgers for a couple seasons.
Yeah. I think you have to trade Jordan Love. I don't know what the market's going to be like on a guy with a 90 throw power, mid or high 70s accuracies. I know Faz developed them, but
Yeah, he's normal dev
even
this time too, and 23.
normal
He's still
dev,
22.
he's a year older. I don't know what the trade market's going to be like on a guy like that. I couldn't anticipate it being very high.
Yeah, it'll probably be low. I wonder if maybe if Faz takes the Jaguars, he trades Trevor Lawrence and then brings Jordan Love back in.
That'd
I,
be wild.
I don't think he would do that, especially being a Jags fan and
Yeah,
who
that'd
could
be funny.
possibly be in that division. But
Yeah,
that would be
I don't think he's got the kahunas for that.
that would be a hell of a move.
That'd be wild. Yeah, I think you trade Love and you try to push for a Super Bowl with Rodgers because he's going to give you your best shot.
All right, so next up is the Vikings. Now we've heard some people talk really highly about the Vikings. Doink has said how great they are. And I know Justin Jefferson, he's got the good abilities. He's an X factor. He's got double me. He's got outside apprentice and route technician. And that's great, but I'm just not sold on this Viking team. I think they're old. Hunter Smith's 33. Kendricks is 30. Hunter's 27. Zadarius Smith's 29.
Yeah.
Patrick Peterson is their best corner, and he's 32.
Eee.
And I know they have the rookie, what is it, Sign, I don't know how you pronounce that
Yeah,
dumbass name, but
yeah, stupid name.
him and Booth are the two rookies. So eventually they'll be good, but by the time they're good, you've got nobody else on the defense.
Yeah,
I guess they're fine if you want to try and like make the playoffs because you're probably at the second best team in the NFC North. So if you
yeah.
maybe can make a push past the Packers, you can get in. But I don't really like this team. I think they're a bottom probably 7 team for me.
I agree. I don't see the appeal. The quarterback situation isn't a good one.
Yep.
Is Cook an X factor?
Cook is an X factor. He's got first one free for his X factor, but his two abilities are jukebox and energizer.
So not freight train, and he's got an Energizer. And your quarterback situation sucks. I don't see. And then you got to play Aaron Rodgers twice a year for 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And the Lions are going to creep up on you pretty quick. I don't see it. I don't see it. But hey, we've seen how great, wink, wink, quotation marks, that they played in the Duck Kings Bowl. Not. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of low on the Vikings. I would try to address the quarterback situation first, probably. Honestly.
Yeah, I would call the Vikings my fool's gold pick because they do have a lot of really good abilities and some guys like Jefferson, Cook, Hunter, I guess. But when you kind of dig into the roster, I think they're just old. And by the time those two rookies come around, everybody's going to
Yeah.
be really old. And you just need too many pieces than you could replace. Thielen's 32, Smith's 33. Even Cook is at 27. He's going to start regressing, at least speed-wise, and he's not a big power back, so you need that speed. Kendrick's at 30. It just looks like a team that's going to fall off faster than you can rebuild them, and they don't have anybody or any extra picks like some of the other teams. And like you said, the Lions are creeping up. The Packers' defense is easily a lot better than the Vikings' offense. And, Jair Alexander is going to take away Justin Jefferson. So with Thielen getting old, I just don't like the Vikings.
No, I'm on the same page.
All right, so another team that's kind of deceptive, though, the Buccaneers. I think everybody looks at this team and sees Brady's 45 and thinks this is an old team. But I think they're actually pretty good. They're a little older, with Vea being 27 and Evans 29. But you've got a lot of young pieces as well. And I think this team, you just have to find a quarterback and maybe use that fountain of youth. Hope Brady doesn't retire the first season, because if he does, you're stuck basically the same place the Vikings and everyone else are with the quarterback. But I kind of like this team. They've got a decent amount of cap space. Losing Gronk hurts, but I think people just associate them with Brady being old and think they're old.
No, you're right. We've seen how well they progressed with Doink last cycle, and we went, what, 5 seasons?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's interesting. If you can find a way to get another season out of Brady and see how he develops or regresses, and if you get lucky and if he regresses enough, I don't know if he would regress enough, but you can maybe trade him.
I would guess he'll
And
regress enough after the first. He's already 97, so going into
so
his year 46, he's got to
what's he
drop
need
a
to
little
be?
bit.
Yeah.
94 or lower.
So yeah, you get the son of a gun to regress, and you address like, hey, well, where did I finish last season? Brady's worse. Maybe I can trade this guy to a guy who thinks he's one quarterback away for a season, and maybe take that pick and try to draft a young quarterback to develop.
Yeah.
But Bucks have a lot of talent in a lot of places. Linebacker David, Mike Evans. They got a young right tackle that's good.
Yep. Devin
They,
White.
they
All
got
their
pieces.
corners are really good too. Their top four corners. I have to go back and pull them back up, but their top four corners, all 25 or younger.
Wow.
And then their free safety, they've got Antoine Winfield, 24. And strong safety, they do have a little bit. Logan Ryan's 31 there. Keanu Neal's 27. But then they have a guy, Nolan Turner. He's 24. He's a rookie, 92 speed. So you can user him in the secondary if you're a guy like RD who likes to use the safety.
Wow.
You don't need to worry about Logan Ryan or whatever. You use your speedy guy in the secondary.
One thing that surprised me about Tom Brady, his 71 speed is actually a lot higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I feel like that may be faster than he's ever been in the game.
Yeah. Weird.
So next up, a team that's got a different quarterback situation, the Falcons. This team, this is one of the teams that I looked at early when the ratings came out, and I was like, that team looks like a lot of fun. And then the more I looked at them, the less I liked them.
Yeah.
I think they have an old secondary. You do have AJ Terrell at 23, but outside of that, it's aging. Your safeties are old or slow. You don't really have a receiver outside of Ridley, and even he's 27 already. Kyle Pitts, obviously, just a monster. Devin Ritter starting as a star guy at 23 years old hurts, or not star. I'm sorry, he's starting at normal at 23, so that kind of hurts him. The more I looked at them, the less I liked them. And even that rookie linebacker, Troy Anderson, 23-year-old middle linebacker, the guy looks like a stud. He's 92 speed. I think he was 90 something, not 90 something, maybe 80 something. Change the direction. But it seems like there's a lot of rookies like that, so it's not really like he's some unicorn now. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I really like the Falcons.
I don't. I don't. Kyle Pitts looks fun. I would love a tight end like Kyle Pitts. I think you got to look at your defense, guys like Grady Jarrett, Deion Jones, those two in particular, maybe, and say, hey, am I going to win a championship? If not, ship these guys out of town and figure out very quickly if Ritter is your guy. Normal dev, he's got some decent traits, though. I think he's developable with the right owner, somebody who can pass the ball. I actually kind of like Ritter. That normal dev hurts though.
Yeah. I mean, you figure that's probably 2 seasons before he can
Yeah,
ever think about superstar, which is
that
good
hurts.
actually. I mean, maybe that helps because he's got to get to a higher overall, or he's just going to get a homer closer and tight
Yeah,
end
that's
or whatever.
true. It depends how you. Now, one thing I've heard, you can if he gets rookie of the year and then he gets a nice stat, he's superstar season one if
That's
he
true.
does the
He
right.
can double up on those, so it is
So
possible. But then you do have him at like 75 overall, and he gets all 4
yes,
terrible
he has
abilities.
closer.
Yep.
So
All right, so next up is the Panthers, and this team looks like a lot of fun.
mhm.
I think they're a good combination of really young and have really good pieces. McCaffrey obviously headlines that group, but picking up Baker Mayfield to me was huge for this team and kind of boost them up the draft boards because that's probably a first round pick there, maybe a second depending how hot the quarterback market is. Or you stick with him and you wait a season and you trade Matt Corral. You just kind of dev him up a little bit. I feel like that's just gives you an extra pick and adds to your draft capital right there. Your receivers with Moore and Anderson, you've got speed. Tight ends, you've got some fast guys at tight end that are young. And then the defense, we've talked about the defense all last cycle about how much speed they had. And they bring everybody back, and then they add Amari Barno, rookie defensive end, who's 92 speed, which is kind of insane for a defensive end. But he's 92 speed to go with Gross Matos and Brian Burns already there. And then they've got Brandon Smith. He's an outside linebacker, another rookie. He's 88 speed, 21 years old. And then to top it off, where is he? Kalen Barnes, defensive back, 23-year-old rookie. He's only 64 overall, so you got to develop him a little bit in his coverage. But he starts at 98 speed. So a fast team just got a lot faster.
Yes. That team's loaded. It's loaded. And there's not a whole lot you can do wrong with them. I think you have to quickly figure out if you want to try to develop Baker, and if not, you're probably going to get a first-round draft pick out of Baker Mayfield. 94 throw power is very appealing, I think.
Yep. Still
and
star, too.
Still star. I mean, I think I personally would ride it out with Baker, and the Panthers roster is good enough to where even if you don't get a first-round pick and you ride it out for a season with them, I think you could still trade them at the offseason. If you're like, I didn't like that experience, franchise tag them, do what you need to do, and trade them.
Yeah, I think that would probably be the way to go, especially if you don't get a chance to check out Matt Corral at all. Baker's more than good enough. Corral, even him, 89 throw power. The only accuracy below 80 is his deep accuracy is 79. Then medium 81, 82 for short. He's got 78 throw under pressure and 84 speed. He's doesn't look bad on paper anyway. So it'll be interesting to see what you do there. But I would probably stick with Baker.
Yeah.
But that team is absolutely
They're good.
Loaded and fast.
They're good.
All right, now to the team we got to talk up so that somebody takes him ahead of Dom and he gets his heart broken one more time. Somehow 3 times in 2 years, the Saints. This team, I think it was Matt I was talking to about this in the mock draft. They just don't look exciting. But the more I looked into the team, they're really good, especially on defense.
They're good.
And I used them a couple times online, and the defense it really stood out as being good. The only issue I have is they are a little bit older on defense, with Cam Jordan being 33. Demario Davis is old. He's 33. He's 33. As well. But you do have a lot of young pieces. You got Lattimore, 26 should make it for most of the cycle. And then you got Matthews, 30, but you got Gardner Johnson's also 24. This team was just a lot of fun to play with. Jameis Winston's not quite as much fun, though.
Yeah, it's interesting, like you said, their top 3 players, Matthew, Demario Davis, and Cam Jordan, are all 30 years of age or older. But, you know, at that point, you can also trade those guys, you know. So that's something to consider.
I think all except Matthew are tradable. He's got to wait one more season.
And, you know, I think you'll be okay doing that. The interesting thing is, what do you do at quarterback? I don't think Jameis Winston is the long-term answer. You know that you're going to have to face a very strong Bucs defense. You're going to have to face a very strong Panthers defense. I would probably, and Dom's going to be happy that I say this, I'm probably out on the Saints team just because their better players are going to be getting old. And it's kind of like you mentioned, I forgot about which team it was, but your ship is in the ocean and you're going to start sinking and there's going to be water gushing out or in, and you're trying to patch these holes. And right as you get it patched, somebody else is going to get old, and then you're going to have another hole. And I don't love that, especially not having a quarterback.
Yeah, I think they're same boat as the Vikings.
Yeah.
You've got good pieces, but they start aging out faster than you can replace them.
So
I think he'll probably get them. I think they'll fall to Dom. I don't think anybody's going to fall in love with this team because I think they're like a team that maybe if you're really close and you want to try and get a Simbardi, and you're one of the better players, you take them and maybe you have like a head start on everybody else, but then you've got to start doing work because they're going to get old fast.
They're a good team for Dom to lose in the NFC Championship with.
Yeah, I think if he gets the Saints, the first 2 seasons are his best chance to win a Simbardi, and then it starts going downhill after that
Yeah,
because everybody's going to get better, and that Saints team is going to start to get worse.
it's gonna get old.
All right, so next team is the 49ers.
Wow.
This team, they look pretty good. The secondary is what bothers me on this team, but
Mhm.
not having a first round pick, it's going to be tough to address that situation early.
Mhm.
Maybe you can get some second round guys, but that's really the only thing I don't like about this team is the secondary. I don't mind the halfbacks. You've talked about it already, that they're easy to develop. Um, Debo Samuel is an X factor receiver who's good. Clearly, he's going to be really good. And then George Kittle, one of the best tight ends, and then at quarterback, which has been kind of the theme for these teams that are pretty loaded, is they have a bad quarterback situation. Um,
Yeah.
San Francisco, I don't think that's the case with Trey Lance. I think you can make something work with him. Uh, he's still star, 91 throw power, medium accuracy is the only one below 80 at 79, and he's got that 80 what is it 87 speed, 91
Mhm.
acceleration. So he's got a little bit of mobility, even though it's no escape artist this year. You still can do a little bit with some mobility, and he's got that too. And only 22 years old, so uh,
Young,
I
very
like them.
young.
Other than the secondary and no picks to kind of do anything with, I would do everything I could to build up that cornerback room.
Yeah. And the nice thing is, if there's a year to not have a great cornerback room, this might be the year where it's okay because the
Yeah,
pressure's going to come quick. And you got Nick Bosa screaming off the edge, Eric Armstead as well. I mean, that front seven, I mean, Fred Warner, 94 overall. Nick Bosa, 94 overall. Eric Armstead, 86 overall. That's three really solid pieces. And like you said, you've got George Kittle. You've got Debo, two really good weapons to throw to with Trey Lance. I mean, that's a dang good team, and your blind side is secured with a 99 overall left tackle and Trent Williams.
yeah. The only thing with him is he's 34, and I've seen
Yeah,
him retire quite a few times the first season. But
yeah,
that frees up 26 million next year. So
yeah. So even with that, you got 30 million now. So
yeah, and like we said, I mean, a kind of common theme with almost every team has been they have a quarterback issue. Um,
mhm.
because I don't feel like there's. I think it's X factor quarterbacks and superstars, and then everybody else
yeah,
at the bottom. There's not a
yeah.
huge middle ground this cycle, and the way the passing is, maybe you're right. You don't need a strong cornerback room because nobody's really gonna be picking you apart except a select number of teams.
Yeah. That pressure's gonna come.
All right, so next up is the Cardinals, the no longer escape artists Kyler Murray Cardinals.
Wow.
You got DeAndre Hopkins, only a star.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, he's still 96, so he can't be traded.
Yeah,
But he is 30, so maybe he regresses enough the following season. I'm not really sold on this team either. I love the speed at receiver with
yeah.
Brown, Rondale Moore, and Isabella, all really fast. Um, and then you have Hopkins, obviously, is your guy that's really good. He's just not as fast. But
hmm
the defense just old, and I don't think they're that good. I like Simmons and Collins and Baker, and that's about it.
Yeah, in April, I thought this team was going to be like the team,
Yeah,
but as the rosters came out, I kind of shifted my mind. You can trade one of the receivers. JJ Watt's getting up there in age, but I think you have to realize, like, hey, you got Kyler Murray, you got Marquise Brown, you got some old pieces. Zach Ertz, for example, he's 80 speed. Like you said, DeAndre Hopkins. I think you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, let's try to freaking win a Super Bowl pretty quick with this team before everybody else finds their quarterback, like you said, like
yeah.
kind of like the spot the Saints are in. I think you have enough to try to win an early Super Bowl, but yeah, I'm just curious of this team. I don't think will be as easy to dev up as they were last year.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were in the same situation where they thought that the Cardinals were going to be easily the top team in the NFC, but I don't even know if I've got them top 5 in the NFC.
Yeah,
Um,
it's interesting how that's kind of played out, to tell you the truth.
and I think Escape Artist is the difference. Um,
hmm
no escape artist and makes Kyler Murray every other decent quarterback. And
Mhm.
I don't know. I just don't really care for him.
Yeah.
All right. So next up is a team that kind of gets. I think they get undervalued a lot because of the draft pick situation. The Rams. You've got Aaron Donald.
Yes.
I know he's 31, and who knows whether he's going to retire or whatever. But he's a 99 overall. Cooper Kupp, 29, but he's 98. Jalen Ramsey, 27, 98. You got three guys that are already almost 99s right out of the box. You got Bobby Wagner. He's a 91. He's also 32. This is a team that could win right away.
Yes.
Um, I don't. I think you just kind of start building the defense again. Stafford being 34 is going to be a problem because he's going to start regressing, and he's already only 85. But I think this team kind of gets slept on, and I think they could still be a good team.
Yeah, I think that what you have to do with this team, you're not going to, like you said, I mean, you're probably not going to be able to make a bunch of trades with them. So you're probably just going to have to ride it out with Matt Stafford with these 99 overall borderline players. And as you lose players, as you hit draft, free agency, make wise decisions and just kind of ride it out. And if you can steal a Super Bowl season one and you've never won one before, hey, you got your ring. And it was probably worth taking this team.
Yeah, the defense alone should help keep you in games that you probably shouldn't be in.
Yeah.
And Stafford with his abilities, I think somebody's going to take this team, and if it's a guy that's right on that cusp, maybe like Dump or something like that, he could be back in the Super Bowl with this team at least season one.
Yeah. They're probably going to fall in the team selection draft.
Yeah, I think people just think they have no draft picks and immediately just write them off. Everybody's really enamored with the draft picks.
Yeah, they're going to fall.
All right, so our last team to do, the Seattle Seahawks.
Wow.
Another team that I was really high on and then just kind of dug into it. I'm like, they're really not that good. The quarterback situation is maybe the worst in the game.
It's bad.
Drew Lock is your number one at 66 overall, 25 years old. Him and Geno Smith both on one-year deals, so they'll be gone. Jacob Eason is your third guy there if you want to keep
Oh, boy.
They do have some pieces, though. 21-year-old Kenny Walker at running back. He's 77 overall. He's fast. Should be okay. And then, obviously, your receiving room with Lockett and Metcalf. Hard to find one better than that. And then you got Noah Fant from the Russell Wilson deal. You've got 2 first-round picks from that deal as well. But I feel like the defense just needs everything. You have Jamal Adams, so that's good. You have Jordan Brooks at middle linebacker. And then you do have that one guy that Matt was talking about, Tariq Woolen. He's also your worst corner, 66 overall. Normal dev, 6'4", 23 years old, but he's got the 97 speed, 96 acceleration, 95 jumping on a guy that's 6'4".
Crazy.
You're not going to throw the ball over him. Unfortunately, you have no idea where on the field he's going to be because he's not very good in coverage, and that could be a problem. His awareness is 49, so he may not even be playing the right sport by the time the ball gets
he's going to be playing soccer.
Yeah.
This team's interesting, and your receivers are pretty well to start. Like you said, Metcalf is there, Lockett's there. Yeah, Marquise Goodwin, 96 speed. He's a burner, gadget play guy if you want to go there. You got the young running back who's fast. With 2 first-round draft picks, I would probably go the Texans route a little bit and just shotgun approach. You just fire it, and whatever you hit, you kind of are happy with. You're not shooting a laser beam because this team's got so many holes that I think you shouldn't fire with the laser beam yet. You're just going shotgun approach. You're plucking off some things, and then you can dial it in later in the cycle. I don't even know. A lot of times people rush to fix a quarterback problem because they think it's a huge problem. But even if you get a young quarterback, you're probably not going to win right away anyway. So I would wait for the immediate quarterback rush to pass. There's going to be guys who think they need quarterback right away, like for example, Colts owner. People like that who are going to be in that market. And I think you just let that pass. You build up your team. Then come season 3, you address the situation.
Yeah, that's some really good advice. I think they are good. Just trying to trade the 2 first-round picks to move up to get a quarterback just seems like a waste of your assets when you need so much.
You need a lot.
So that's going to do it. That's our last team. Hopefully, some guys get a little bit of help either trying to figure out what to do with a team or maybe even just trying to figure out what team they want to be. But that's going to do it for laying the blueprint. Appreciate
Wow.
you being on and sharing some of your team building knowledge with us. And
Yeah.
hopefully it helps somebody out.
Yeah. Hopefully it helps somebody out, but hopefully not too much.
That's right. That's right. Not too much. But thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for being on Prime.
Hey,
And
thanks.
good luck, everybody, in the team draft.
Let's go.